I guess we're starting right now, so that's exciting. So just hopefully everyone has this format kind of figured out, but if not, I'll set the table. This is a discussion, so like most discussions, the squeaky wheel ends up getting more, excitement. But I'll try to do my best to empower everyone else. But we're talking about really really open lane, which is what's next for virtual events. So I'm gonna say my like little really broad spiel, and then we'll see if that incites any ideas from anyone, or questions, or anything around that. um, Virtual events been around for a long time. The idea of digital experiences, I really think has been integrated in live events maybe since like uh, the late aughts. If you think about phases of events, there's an initial phase of event that is whatever you call it, but basically the attraction phase. I don't know about you, but I haven't been doing as many postcards lately to advertise my events. It's been digital for quite some time. So that phase of like setting expectations of really creating the colors, themes, the feelings for events has been in a digital world for a long time. And then even the extension phase at the very end of the event of getting more out of it, the follow-ups, the post-event surveys, that's been digital for almost 2 decades as well. So we've had this hybrid life for longer than we thought. We just now, based on forced adoption of virtual, it's shaken up expectations, and it's made people think that virtual events are one thing, which is a or a hybrid events are even one thing. They're this simultaneous conversation between people in the face-to-face realm and the virtual realm, as if there was an end point and a rigid definition. And I think we're just waking up now to having to now not do things on the fly, but with purpose and intention, and designing events that take in virtual. And now we're looking at this as less of a noun and more of an adjective. The idea that like hybrid is a strategy, and it is not a rigid box. So all those things are floating around right now, and really what I think the future is, or what's next, comes down to lots and lots of different strategies and different takes on what virtual events can be from 365. What is content? What is an event? I mean, these are conversations that we have to have now, so we can figure out how to best use the things that we have and the new ingredients that we have to create new and exciting events that most importantly meet the goals that are very specific to what we're working on, as opposed to saying, okay, I need to have a hybrid event, so what do I need to do that? Like, break that premise right in the beginning and say, these are my goals. I've got new ingredients. How can I do it?
I already forgot.
So moving forward, I guess the question is, and I want to put out to everybody, what do you think is on the horizon in the next year to 2 years that in virtual events, be it features, be it expectations, new types of events, that you've seen maybe something heralded already that was a kernel of, oh, there's going to be more of this, or what if we really double down on this? Like, what's exciting you as far as what you think is next? Extroverts win on these things usually. So in the chat, that's another option as well. If anyone wants to chime in on just unmuting and jumping in, this is a forum as opposed to me talking at you from this point on.
So I'll jump in here, Nick. So you mentioned it, but the answer to the question is always, it depends, right? It depends on what the goals and objectives are of the client or of the event and what we're trying to accomplish. But I definitely feel that and we heard this just from Marco, that more innovation and technology is going to be there. I've been working with a company that is very engaged in augmented reality. And I do believe that augmented reality is going to become a very large part of virtual or digital events, because again, it takes it off the screen, puts it in more engaging, and it can put it into your living room or even just do different things in a new and different way.
Yeah, anything that takes the friction away, right? Like the innovations are not going to come necessarily, I think, in big jumps, but in fact, just smoother transitions.
Right.
I'd like to maybe send back a question about this one. Is not more much like what's the future of it, but let's look at what changed in the needs for the audience after COVID, how it changed from before and now how it is, and how events need to kind of adapt or like reflect and deliver something that will match those needs going forward.
Yeah, there's short term and there's long term, right? So I think that short term is really how are we more adaptable to disruptions in the short in hedging our bets. You know, we've had for years event professionals have had the option of when it rains what to do, and now it's like, okay, what happens if there's a riot? What happens if there's a virus? What happens if there's this or that? We have bigger things than just weather, or certainly if not bigger, different. So our ability to use digital as a flexibility is one thing for short-term problems. For long-term, I think it really just comes down to having deeper strategies for community, because one of the things that's not going away and then maybe is exacerbated is the distance between people. You know, we're in the gatherings business. We bring people together. That's what we do. Meanwhile, virtual has enabled people to be farther apart. I work for a company based in Israel, and I have conversations every day with people across the world, and we get things done, but we're not together in the way that we classically defined together for forever. What does that mean? Where are the gaps? How can we create belonging? How can we create cultural cohesion? How can we tell brand stories? These are the challenges, I think, of what's next when it comes to what we do, is strengthening communities and creating those feelings that we had when we were more likely to be in the same room. And that's an opportunity. I mean, we're in a world spread apart. The people that bring people together are going to be able to do some really exciting things. I think we're going to be much more important than we used to be. Fingers crossed.
Hey, Nick, this is Ken. What I'll add to this is this. I mean, with the Delta variant coming on, it's actually slowed down the live events. But what I'm curious to see is what organizations actually end up doing once the live events do come back. Because I'm hearing comments from organizations saying, oh, once we get by this virus, we're not doing any more digital stuff. And I think that's a huge mistake. I think where organizations are going to be able to capitalize is to understand you've got members that will never come to your event, but they will join virtually. There are some people that would have never come to your event before, but if they attend virtually, there's a chance they may go to the live event. So I think it's important for organizations to know their audience and know how to market to them, because this is a great opportunity to reach people you've never been able to reach before. And there's plenty of organizations that have done it and said, hey, my virtual event, I was like 10 times as many as my live event. Can't miss that opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the future is live events. I don't think the future is hybrid. I don't think it's virtual. I think the future is inclusive, and that's what matters. It's whatever you need to reach people, and we need to really maximize our potential. We need to work on our empathy and determine that events, as we've been designing them for years, have not been for everyone, and that's a miss. You know, the same few people are invited every year from their organizations to represent them, and we're underserving large portions of people who can make a difference. People early in their careers, people who are late in their careers, who don't have as much time but tons to give back. We just aren't designing events inclusive enough. And the reality is, when people say like virtual events and hybrid, they say it's like planning two events. Well, for starters, yes, it is. You know, it absolutely is. Who get over that? Yes. And it's like having twice the value and twice the benefits, and probably an X bigger than two. So if you need twice the resources, you need to have twice the goals. If you believe that it's, you know, that much more work, we're in a bigger game now. We're in a 365 potential game. And we're not, and the nicest thing, I think, potentially with virtual events, period, for planners, I think the best outcome of a more robust technology offering is the fact that all of our stress as event professionals is due to the fact that there is a very small target that we have to hit, that our whole year or whole quarter is dedicated to. And it doesn't have to be that way. We have so many more options to spread it out. So if everything doesn't go, all our eggs aren't in one basket, like consider virtual the opportunity to make up for things. I've done this now where you make a promise on your live event and you say, look, nobody knows what's going to happen, but we're going to make it right. We're going to make you whole. We have digital opportunities to give you your brand, your exhibitors, your external stakeholders. We have opportunities down the road to feature you, to sponsor you, to give you the value that maybe this doesn't make up. There's that. And then there's a possibility for so many micro niche events. So I think that what really matters is that you need to be able to bring all your stakeholders in earlier and say, okay, what if we had bigger dreams, bigger goals, and we reached more people, and let's just tear this apart versus how do we iteratively, improve by 5% what was done last year. Like that kind of thinking is going to crush us. Like we have to think bigger, ask for more stuff, ask for more money, give more value. Everything has to be X something, at least 2. Is anyone, the other friction, I think, as far as this comes down to the fact that majority of people came into the events industry didn't come in to increase impressions or to generate leads. They got into this because they're into the people business. They believe that if you take care of people, they'll take care of you. You love hospitality. You want to make people feel good, and that type of DNA versus the technology DNA of problem solving, pivoting, we'll get it right the next time. Like there's so much friction between those two worlds. And I think both camps, from a virtual camp of the technology providers and the planners, need to have a lot more discussions amongst each other to get on the same page, because like our futures are connected and locked together, and not as a tool that you use and you dispose of, or you shop around. Like it has to be hand-in-hand partnerships for success to happen. Otherwise, with how high the stakes are right now, it's just not going to work. You have to be able to connect with people on an ethos level, and not just do your features benefit the attendees at the level that I need. Like it has to be deeper than that, which I think, just from knowing Ken, I know you've been in those conversations before too. Like it has to be the cliche of partnership, unfortunately, is apt. It's not a vendor buyer relationship that's going to be successful. Anyone see anything cool? VR, AR, like those are two areas that I'm like super excited about always. The company I work for, like we're positioning ourselves to be less of a virtual event platform and really be a metaverse platform, but that word is scary to majority of people that we talk to. So use it sparingly. It doesn't have a lot of SEO, so to speak, in our industry. But anyone else, like buzzwords, cool on the horizon stuff that's just like, man, we need more of that. HoloLens, I see that. Yeah, for sure. Lots of possibilities there. Lots of great ideas in chat. The niche thing too. I think that like maybe if anything is gone, as far as trends, it's the days of the 100,000 plus people events. This is maybe potentially controversial depending on the crowd. Maybe they were never good, maybe they were just a necessary evil. Maybe it's in marketing. I could tell you shotgun approach generally doesn't pay the bills. As a marketer, like for me, it matters is personalization and having the right people in the rooms. I can only network if you bring 10,000 people into an event. I'm still only able to network with as many people as I can network with. I'm going to have 12 good conversations, maybe, whether it's 100 people or 10,000. If it's the right 100 people, the likelihood of my conversion is probably higher. It really, I don't know. I'm curious to see if there's anyone who thinks that virtual events plays anything into the idea of smaller face-to-face events that may be more boutique.
I actually, to your point, I think some of these bigger events are whatever the driver is will still continue. Like if it's music festivals, people want to experience that live, like
That's a good point.
Coachella or something like that. But Coachella used to stream prior to COVID. So I think there's an opportunity there to like build off of that. And maybe we're going to see, like the online sponsor versus the in-person sponsors and how you can cross that over. I had an interesting conversation with a client the other day who brought up a really good point. Like we're looking at this at this like conversions of clicks and likes, and there's the person who just takes in the content, and there's no way to capture that ROI to your client, because those are just those people that are watching the content. Like right now, there might be people that are doing something else, but they're listening to us live. And how do you capture that ROI? Whereas at the live event, people would just figure, okay, well, the person's in a seat and they're there. That person could have been on their laptop and doing other things, but they were a person in the room. So just kind of, I probably didn't answer your question, but
No,
threw more
that's
at it.
that's really, I mean, there's a really great points there, especially as far as metrics and data, as far as proof points of what's successful. I think we're going to have to get a lot better at measuring customer lifetime value as a metric, because that might be able to source out, is the education that you're getting, where is that, besides just measuring retention, but like what would you likely to consume otherwise? And then the other thing is that we have to start looking at event data less as an output to generate iteratively better events, but more as that data as its own end to itself, that we use as lead intelligence with the attendee exhaust. So like, what do we learn from people? So we deliver great content, but like, what do we learn from that we can use to work on our content calendars, to create micro groups throughout the year in digital environments, to follow up with sales. Like there's so many more possibilities than just looking at the kind of data points of the ROIs that, like you mentioned, that are the givens. And I think that like there's the qualitative and the quantitative on that. And we just need to be able to, I think really most of the problems that event professionals have could be solved by finding out ways to show all of the things that we do. If we can do that, we get more resources. And if we get more resources, not only do we have less stress, but we get to do cooler things. And like that to me is like, why data, less stress, more cool toys, and then, which is basically just more money. But both of those things are like why double down on, virtual? If you're a live event professional, it's because you can figure out ways to use that in conjunction with doing at your live event in order to make more money, to provide more sponsorship opportunities, to then use that money to put it into the live event, if that's your like ultimate love, to make that this boutique offering of really high touch, high value. Because like when I mentioned earlier, I did a lot of studying on esports. Esports is a great example of the live event is a beautiful experience, and it is very powerful, and really, like, if it was just the attendees going to it, the couple thousand attendees going to it, there wouldn't be enough money to make it that cool. But there's a million people watching it, and that pays the bills, and that makes the live experience, like for the VIPs, for the influencers, for all the people that like will come to those events and be your evangelists. Like without the digital, without the virtual element of it, you just can't do that. And like the idea that we could produce like our dream live events now, because we're making enough money off virtual, because we're creating all these different channels for smoother, global, and less friction environments for attendance. All that gives us the power we need in order to like justify, putting on the coolest live events that we've ever been able to do, because our budget is now everything that we make off the digital, and, to a lesser extent, the face-to-face, but the face-to-face will present itself in digital in such a cool environment that it'll all feed itself. It's all one thing. So I'm hoping for that too. Like, as someone who spent the majority of my life in live events, and doing things in digital environments as well, but like they really are symbiotic, and they really are probably their best friends and they're not adversarial. And I think that's we need to get on board with that idea and figure out like how do we solve one's problems with the other.
Yeah, I
Hopefully.
like Lori brought up a really good point. I was just talking about this the other day, like to use more QR codes for AR and gamification. I was just thinking like everybody's so excited about NFTs and that exploding right now, but like we already have that with QR codes and we should really be like working them.
Totally.
I
QR
love
codes
that.
The
are
augmented
less
reality
friction.
space.
Yeah.
What's that, John?
That's the augmented reality space is all QR codes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an Internet of Things to an extent, potentially, you know, especially the data. Yeah, I mean, NFTs have a real, I think have real legs to make an impact on live events, especially when it comes to ticketing, to make the ticket itself a gateway and a key to unlock things in the future. And something that is a status symbol, which is definitely, status is definitely a cognitive bias that moves people. There's a lot of possibilities in that realm. But in addition to that, the data trail that you would find from people who attended an event one year and then continue to do things down the road, you'd know so much more about their exhaust. Well, we said NFTs, VR, a virtual hybrid. I think if you got your bingo card in this short session, we crossed off all of the buzzwords. So congratulations on buzzword bingo win. Thanks everybody. I'm wrapping it up, but if you ever want to hit me up on any of the platforms, just my name, Nick Borelli, and continue any of these strings. And hopefully you guys have a fun next session. I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you.
See ya.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Nick.
Absolutely. Bye.